So let's move to agenda item. Let's move to agenda item, I believe it's 10. I know, we're all over the map today, and that's apologies. So this is direct employees of the board, 10.1, state superintendent. We need to put together a selection committee. Leadership has gathered, and we also have with us, who do we have with us? We have Michelle Watts, and is this Dakota? Can you guys come forward? We'll do, if we could, this is an HR team that's going to introduce themselves, and then they'll talk about the steps that we need to take in moving forward with this. We're just talking processes right now. Is that correct? And then, of course, we'd like to get to know you so that we can feel comfortable approaching. So please.
There we go. Good evening. My name is Michelle Watts. I'm the HR Director of Field Operations, and this is Dakota Cambruzzi, and she is your new HR Field Office Director for the State Board of Education. We are here to talk about the superintendent recruitment process and resources. So we can post the job on our website, and we can help create that posting, place that up for as long as you'd like, and we can work with you and the committee, whoever that is, to make that posting what you want it to look like. We can also send out packets to people that you want to target to ask to apply for the position. And we can do a lot of targeted recruiting as well. We can get lists, we can work with you on lists, we can give you all kinds of resources. It's whatever you guys want to work in that way. And then we can help with interview questions, we can help with any parts of the process that you need help with. So as much as you want us into this and as much as you don't, we're there for you. We can also post this to LinkedIn or Indeed. That does come out of your budget. That's not from our budget, but those costs are usually minimal. What questions do you have for us?
Any questions on the process as of now, or is that something that we would like to wait for the committee? Once we have a committee established, I think we'll have a lot more questions. I think is that fair? Okay. Thank you. Dakota, anything to add?
Nothing to add for me. Just really grateful to be here and meet you all, and happy to help in any way that we can.
Thank you. So I'm going to, I don't know if we have a list. I don't know if I've shared this list with anybody of recommendations that we can have a list to start from instead of just throwing things out there. I see, remember Earl, you have a question?
I guess if we were to post, right, and what is that reach, how far? And maybe you addressed that and I missed it. Would it go further than Utah? Do you know what I mean? Is there a way to reach further than that, or is that kind of limited? I'm just curious.
It would be on our state jobs website, so it is for the state of Utah, but generally people hear about that and would
perpetuate it, or yeah, okay.
And we can post in other places that link back to that so that we get candidates that way. So if there's superintendency newsletters or different things, we would love to place them there. If there's costs, then you would pay those. But if there's no cost, we can also add them to things, or we can send it out through email listservs as well.
Okay, I just didn't know the restrictiveness, right? If we needed to find someone else to help with a broader reach or not, or if it sounds like you might have the capabilities of doing that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have somebody, I'm just going to read off a list of names. I'd like to see them on the screen. So that for the board members, sorry, Leah, you can, just so that we can have something to start from. Is that okay? So here is a list of 7 names. The bylaws state that this committee will have up to 7 board members. if I'm honest with you, I've had other organizations, including the SCSB, reach out and say, can we be on this committee? And I said, that's not my decision. I'll talk to the board. I'm getting some head nods in the no direction and even a scowl. So we want to make sure, like I said, I'm putting this in our hands, right? So whether that comes up, I mean, obviously one head nod or one scowl or one no is not speak for the board, right? That's not how we do things. But if somebody says, hey, I recommend so-and-so, then we'll do it, right? So I'm trying to open this up. So let's start here. The names that we've considered as leadership are first myself, so Matt Hymas and Leanne Wood. And then we have, okay, are you typing these, Kelsey? Well, I'm going to say them. I don't want to be like, okay, who was number? You know what I mean? So next, we are suggesting Sarah Reel, Jenny Earl, Cindy Davis, Joe Carey, and Emily Green. That would make 7 board members. And with that, I will open it up to amendments, comments, motions, whatever you'd like. But I get if you need a second to read them over. We'll start with Member Kelly.
Could I add my own name to that list? Is that appropriate?
You could, but you'd have to suggest removing somebody. We cannot have more than 7.
Okay, so that's what I want. What's the process of, I mean, is this a vote or is leadership suggesting the 7 and then?
This is yeah, that's a great question. This is a suggestion. And there were many factors that went into this, right?
Right.
This wasn't just like, who do I really like? So, right, so we again, geographic is part of it. Experience is part of it. Those who have worked closely with superintendency and staff is part of it. So there's many factors here. So now moving on to your question. How would you get your name on this? Well, you could either say, hey, I'd like to replace so-and-so, or you could say, I've got a better list that I'd like to vote on, right? So I know, and these may be difficult conversations. I get it. And I get there's nothing personal. If Cole were to say, Matt, I want you off, I want your spot, I'd say, let's vote, right? There's nothing personal here. So Member Kelly, as you're still processing, or are you ready to go? I've got a couple other lights, but okay, let's go to Member Earl, and then we've got Member Booth.
Yeah, I guess, and I don't know whether, because we were asked a couple of weeks ago to make recommendations, submit our names, whatever. So I'm sure maybe that was even a little bit of part of the process, because I know a number of the people there submitted their names and actually made recommendation. But I mean, I guess we can consider however we want to look at that structure. Now, let me be clear though, I guess the selection committee could, when they meet, could actually form or engage in a way that incorporates other board members too though, right, throughout the process. Is that accurate or not? I guess it's whatever we want, really. Right, but if maybe it's a group that reads through, right, screenings or, right, other, yep, or something like that.
Member Booth, and then Member Carey.
So I don't want to put any pressure at all. I submitted my name a couple weeks ago. I've been pretty active in the process. I feel some obligation because of 20 plus years on school boards, working with a lot of different superintendents, both at the state level and the local level. I would love to be able to offer that experience to the decision-making process. I don't think there is anyone around the circle that has spent more time with superintendents over the last 24 years. However, I understand there may be other reasons, and I also recognize that I am older, and it may be time for young, fresh blood. So I can certainly bow to your decisions and your wishes, but I just wanted to say that I did put my hat in the ring because I did feel a responsibility because of the experiences I've had and wanting to make sure that together we benefit from all the experience we have around the table. But I understand that at this point somebody's got to step down, and I would hate to be the one to make that happen. So anyway, thanks for letting me express myself.
Thank you, Member Booth. And if I can be honest with you, this was not something that was easy. When I first listened to Sid make her announcement, I thought, how do we get all 15 board members? Because we all have voices. We all have things that we'd like to see. How do I do that? Obviously, the bylaws don't let us have all 15 on, but and so we have to find different ways. So we have to build a committee, and then we have to stay as open as possible throughout that committee. And whether that means a little bit longer of an executive session to keep everybody informed, then we'll do that. Unfortunately, it means that 8 of us are not making decisions as heavily. But that does not mean, in my opinion, if somebody were to come to me and say, hey, Matt, I didn't make the committee, or hey, Leanne, or Joe, or whoever, I didn't make the committee, but can I share some thoughts with you? We all value each other here. This, if I'm honest, I think this is the best board that I've been a part of. And so I think that we can have those conversations without being on the committee. I'd be happy to step off the committee. I don't know if I have that choice, but you know what I mean? Like this, I hear what you're saying, Randy, or Member Booth, and I respect everybody here and their decisions, and I will do what's needed. So anyway, now I'm ongoing. So, Member Lear, please.
I have 2 thoughts. One is, and my suggestion in terms of process, just as we begin this, and this is obviously very initial, that maybe you hear some suggestions today and then leadership go back and discuss this maybe one more time with some of our thoughts in mind. Would that be, I don't know if I need to make a motion to that effect or if that's just a suggestion that you could consider.
You could, but essentially you're asking Leanne and I to do the dirty work that we don't want to do.
Why is Molly left out?
I am not going to be part of this because my colleagues will be the ones applying and I'm not.
Okay, well, all right, well, then I'll just say my points. I don't
Okay,
want to.
please.
I'm not gonna. Anyway, I think there should be one brand new board member, and there are none, and I think that would be an important addition, and my druthers would be Amanda. That's just again, I'm not making this in terms of a motion yet, just a suggestion. Secondly, the Constitution says that the state board shall select the superintendent. I read that literally to mean the board. So if this is a screening committee, even perhaps a committee that pulls together ideas for qualities or qualifications or whatever, I am great with that. But in the end, as hard, painful, long as it's going to be, I think the board needs to discuss and select the superintendent. So, and I think that might be a way to put to rest some of the desires that some of us have to be on this committee. Because I think we can all make a pretty good case for ourselves.
Agreed.
So those are my 2 thoughts, that if this is a screening committee that does the initial work, great. I could live with this, with the thought in addition that there would be one new board member, because that group comes in with very different ideas than maybe the rest of us.
Thank you. I'll speak to the second part. There's no intent on my end to have the committee say, here's your selection board, vote it up or down. It's my hope to have a small handful, because if we got too big, then we would never decide. But that's, again, that would be discussed within the committee. But you're right. I mean, the 8 that are not on the list are relinquishing decision-making authority, right? So I get it. Let's go to Member Carey. Oh, AG, go ahead.
I just want to provide just a little bit of clarity. So your bylaws does say the board shall appoint the superintendent, and so the kind of delineation here, just for clarification purposes, is that the selection committee does the hiring process and can like create the screening and interview process and do the first round interviews, but then it also does allow for the selection committee to bring the candidates for second round interviews to the whole board. So the second round interviews could be done with the whole board.
Thank you. Michelle?
Point of clarity, this is a very time-consuming process. So just, you want to make sure that you have the time to put into this, going through resumes, going through all of that. And then if you have 10 interviews, they're probably an hour apiece. That's 10 hours. That's probably 2 full days. So there's a lot of time commitment.
Agreed. So with that, if anybody says, I'm out, we get that too, right? Well, let's go to Member Carey and then over to Member Davis.
Thank you, Chair. Just 2 questions. One to Board Member Lear's point. As I read the protocol established in backup, the selection committee is going to do that initial round of interviews, but any I'll call them finalists, that group would come to the full board, and the full board would vote on who they want to be collectively as the next superintendent. Is that correct?
From what I understand, it sounds correct, but maybe I misheard something. That is up to the discretion of the committee. So if the committee, let's say the committee did first round and then second round and said, okay, here's our top X, we'll take that to the board. Am I understanding that, or is it first and second only?
Okay, so the language is that following the work of the selection committee, the board may recall final candidates for second interviews. So that would be at the board's discretion as a whole. And then the appointment of the superintendent shall take place by a vote of the board in an open meeting.
And out of curiosity, is that a majority, or is that just an eight votes? And I'll let you look at that. Just, that's a curiosity we can get to later. Thank you. Back to Member Carey.
And my second question is, you referenced that, we could extend executive committee to have more in-depth discussions on this process. Are we able to go in, well, I guess I'll have to ask counsel, but are we able to go into executive session in a process that is kind of designated in our bylaws? I know the vote has to be public, but are we able to discuss this in executive session? I guess it's an employment, I'm trying to answer my own questions. I'll let. So it would be permitted? I believe so, but that would be their decision. They're all nodding, yes, so, okay.
Yeah,
that's
so
three
character
head
and
nods.
competence are appropriate for a closed session.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Emily is not here. I mean, I assume the people on the list are willing to take this on, and I wonder if somebody should ask Emily while we're here and having this conversation if she also is, since she's not here, to know that her name is on the list.
Well, she volunteered. I mean,
Yeah, he said he had talked to her.
Oh, okay.
interest, I think.
Yeah, we're talking about Member Green specifically. Yes.
She submitted her name. Okay, I didn't know that. Thanks.
Who do we have next? Member Bogus.
So in the interest of saying unpopular things, I think we need another man on this team. And I do believe that only one member of leadership should be on this selection committee. So I'm going to throw that out there and let us all percolate for a moment. But it is my opinion that this is not a very balanced representation of this board.
Okay, well, I know. I just had Vice Chair Wood saying I've already told you what I do. Do you want to speak to that?
I will remove my name in behalf of Randy.
Again, I don't know if that's this is all conversation based, and as we kind of let this sink in, if we have motions start coming, that's in order. So I know we're not done. There's no lights, so and there's no motion, so we can. Okay, Member Brinton.
I'd like to make a motion that it be Cole Kelly's name that go on there to represent one of the new board members that's been voted in this last election, who's also a current teacher in the district as well. I think.
And you would replace
Leanne, if she's removing her name.
Member Wood. Okay. So there's a motion on the floor then to strike Leanne Wood from the suggested committee and add the name of Cole Kelly. Is there a second to this? Because there was no motion. There was just, she says she's willing to. That's why I'm asking. I know I've mentioned it like 3 times. Like there's no motions. There's no, right? We're just discussing. Well, if we don't do it by motion, then I think it can get out of hand. That's my concern. Yeah. I'm just speaking here. So again, there's a motion then before the board. And it's on the screen here, and that is that Cole, did we have a second to that? Sure. Okay, that Cole Kelly's name be added to the list and replace Leanne Wood. Member Lear, discussion to that motion?
No, I just feel like we kind of got shortchanged in the beginning, and that.
Again, no. I want to remind, it's okay to say no. Cole is a grown man. He will not have his feelings hurt, I hope. So I apologize. I didn't go back to Member Brinton to speak to her motion.
Sure. I just think that in light of the elections that we just have had taking place and to more represent the will of the voters and our constituents, I think that would make more sense.
Okay. Member Davis.
I have nothing personal about this vote. I just think Leanne said, I'm removing my name for him, and I think, so I do want an opportunity to vote on Randy, who has, the reason is he expressed that he's had 20 years of working with, and especially in local board and superintendency selections. So.
Thank you. Member Kelly.
Yeah, if it's about who went first, I did put my name up there and let out on that. And you asked me who I would want to replace, and Leanne Wood was who I would want to replace.
So I have a point of order.
Sure.
That this is a motion on the table. I understand.
Can you use your microphone for this point of order?
I do understand everybody's comments, but no motion was made. And so if we're doing this through a motion process, there's a motion on the table. And the continued deliberation is not going to help the fact that we have a motion on the table.
Agreed. I think we're speaking to or for or against the motion. Member Lear.
substitute motion that Randy Booth replace Cole Kelly. Well, I mean, yes. Was replaced by Joanne's motion.
Okay, so we have a substitute motion, and that would be that Randy Booth's name be added to the list and replace Leanne Wood. Do we have a second? A second from Member Davis. Discussion to that motion.
I think that Randy made his best case for himself. There is nobody who is more measured than Randy. He's also had the unusual and in this board experience of being on a local board for a significant amount of time. He's been in administrative positions in his employment for years. I think it adds I think his name adds a breadth of experience that isn't there otherwise, and I just think he'd be an excellent selection.
Thank you. Member Carey.
You know, I'm going to speak against the current motion, and it's obviously difficult to do, but I do think that there is wisdom in the notion that we have several new board members. When I do look at that list, I see a geographical representation. I see a policy balance, if you want to call it that. But I don't see having, I see members who have served a long time on there, but I don't see any new members. And I do think there's wisdom in saying there should be a new, newly elected board member serving on the nomination committee. I do take a little bit of offense that there's not enough men, but I mean, that's, but, well, oh, is that what it was?
My brilliant
Okay, then I withdraw the offense, but okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. AHE Buse.
That's right.
Beal. Thank
yeah,
you.
no problem. One thing I just wanted to note, I don't know, Chair Hymas, this is kind of for you to decide whether you want to take this on or not versus this kind of ongoing discussion and voting situation, but the bylaws do say the board chair shall solicit input from members and may create the selection committee. So if you would like to take that on as yourself, you can solicit input.
Let me speak to why. I mean, it's glaring. There's no new board members on here. Can I just speak to that? Because I love and respect our new board members, all of you, and I think that each of you. And Leanne mentioned that there was. Leanne has a good grasp on this. I know I mentioned it briefly, and it's. We have board members who have worked with this scenario for the past 2+ years. This is not something taken lightly. Not that Cole or Joanne or Amanda or Rod would take lightly, but this is going to be something that is going to affect our state for the next decade at least. And that's if the person only sticks around for 2 years. It's going to affect us for the next decade at least. Not saying that it's going to be 2 years, right? Sid, you've been working here for 9 years, 8 years? And we're going to, that ripple will go on forever. We will never be rid of Sid Dixon. That's reality, right? In the kindest way possible. So then I say, okay, this is more than just looking at outside people coming in. We are, like it or not, this affects agency, both how it's run procedurally, and it affects staff, right? Who goes, who stays on their terms, hopefully, right? But that's their choice. But this is something that the board members who have been here for at least 2 years have seen things. They have worked with staff members. They have seen changes in the agency. If we're saying we want Cole because he's an educator, great. So am I. And I've seen other things. I've got experience, like it or not, and Cole is older and much wiser, but I have experience where he does not. And each one of these board members that are on here have a certain experience and a certain mindset that I believed could pinpoint, looking through resumes, sitting down with individuals, knowing the people outside, and making a determination that would best suit the state of Utah. And we'll go beyond that. This is not within this agency. We're talking legislatures, we're talking outside organizations, we're talking LEAs, we're talking families, parents, kids, that Superintendent Dixon has shown that you get involved in their lives. And so anyway, this reaches beyond, like, well, I want them because they're new, right? So no offense, none of us are going to take it, but that's where I came from with this list, okay? Again, I respect each of you. Each of you have a skill set that I think could really be powerful here, but I only get 7, okay? So anyway, with that, we've got Member Kelly, then Member Lear.
The thing that you and I have in common, Chair Member Hymas, is that we were both elected into this position by our constituents. And my constituents, they said, we have confidence that you're qualified to do this job. And so one of the things that I think sometimes happens is, and I've been in education for 27 years. I've been on the ground level for 27 years. And for lack of a better term, sometimes we get into the swamp and we lose sight of what happens at the ground level. And that can happen on boards too. You can serve on a board for so long that you lose sight of maybe some of the things that a new member may be able to see clearly as they've come in and had that opportunity to beat an incumbent. And why did you beat an incumbent, and why did the incumbent lose, and why did the new member defeat the incumbent? Because perhaps I'm seeing things that current board members are not seeing. And so I don't think that experience on this board should be the qualifying factor as to who is on this committee.
Thank you. Member Lear.
And I think, Matt, your points, Chair Hymas, can be addressed in my mind at least. Of course, I'd like to be on it too, and I could make a great case for myself. But I think that speaking partly for myself, and I'm hoping I'm reflecting what others might say, is that a lot of your concerns can be ameliorated by having this group be the screening committee, and per our bylaws, as time-consuming as it will be, as painful as it will be, having the screening committee submit I think, significant number. 5 comes to mind. I'm not saying that as a motion, but 5 for the board then to interview or do whatever process you come up with, which I can also live with, and then maybe do another interview for 2 people. Then I think that addresses a lot of the concerns of those of us who were not selected.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor here. It's a substitute motion. Okay. Perfect. We're just getting feedback that Emily's going to join us shortly. Is she online? Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So the motion is that Randy Booth's name be added to the list and replace Leanne Wood. Let's vote.
Member Green is a no.
Member Green is a no. That motion fails. 7-7 with one abstention. The abstention being Member Bogus. The noes being Member Carey, Member Green, Member Hall, Member Hymas, Member Kelly, Member Earl, Member Brinton. Well, if, yeah, there's an underlying, don't bring up the other things. Okay. So we are back to the underlying motion, and that is that, essentially that Leanne is her name is replaced with, Member Kelly. Yeah, we are ready to vote. My apologies.
Can I clarify that the blue is what the current motion is?
Yes, that is correct. And your vote? Member Green?
Is a yes.
Okay, that motion passes 8-7. The no votes being Member Reel, Member Davis, Member Booth, Vice Chair Wood, Member Hymas, Member Bollinger, and somebody else. Who was it? Member Lear. Thank you. Okay, can we readjust this? Member Bogus. We'll readjust the list and then Member Bogus.
So I just want to be clear that we're looking at these names up in that thing. So, again, in the interest of being unpopular today, I would move that we strike Sarah Reel and insert Rod Hall. And with a second, I would speak to the motion.
Second by Member Kelly. Speak to the motion.
So it is just my personal belief, not only do we need balance on this list, but I do believe we need a variety of perspectives, and Rod brings something that if we look around, no one else can bring. And I think we need to honor that, and I think we need to own it. And I'm going to just leave it there.
Thank you. Member Earl?
I'd like to make a substitute motion that we move the current names that are listed.
Substitute motion is in order, and that is to move the list as presented. Second? Second. Seconded. Let's vote.
Member Green is a no.
Thank you, Member Green. We've got you. We've got one more vote out there. Okay, that passes. 12 in favor, 3 opposed. Those opposed being Member Green, Member Bogus, Member Brinton. And that concludes agenda item 10. Thank you, HR. We will be in touch. Board members, I will tell you that was the most unpleasant portion that I've ever sat through in these 4+ years. So hopefully we can hopefully we can not do that again.